So the first time, that beautiful magic feeling of falling in love, did you have that tight feeling in your chest? Did you have something in your stomach? Did you have some kind of a feeling in your body when you went on the first date and maybe your legs were shaking or your body was shaking? How do you know at that time that that was not anxiety? A lot of things were shaking too. Yes. All right, guys. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this sensation you had, as I think I'm absolutely sure, I'm almost sure you had a very similar sensation in your body as you had when you went up on stage and giving a speech. I'm pretty sure it was very similar feeling in your body, but the way you named it was different. When you come up on stage, you say, okay, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, I'm anxious. When you come up on your first date, yes, maybe you're anxious, but in a beautiful and romantic way. Yes. And this is something beautiful and nice, or maybe you're excited. So this is all about how your mind labels those sensations. Yes, you can either label it, oh, this is anxiety and this is something bad, or you can label it, this is excitement, as Darko said, this is something good, this is something beautiful, right? And actually, we do need stress, we do need anxiety, because it brings the level of excitement in your body. Yes, it brings the level high, and this is something you need to perform well. If you do not have anxiety at all, the so-called anxiety at all, then when you come up on stage, you won't perform that well. You won't be excited, you won't be pumped up. So you do need that. So you actually have it because you need it.
Hi there, Adrian here, and this is a video from a Zoom session that we do. We do these Zoom sessions every Sunday, and we take questions and answers from the audience, some of our students, some of our members. We never know what questions are coming up, so I'm always excited to do these sessions, and I hope to see you at one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out the other playlists that we have. Thank you, enjoy.
And I need to say, I'm so grateful to Darko and Adrian for being so patient and helpful all along the way. And even after the course is over, I still feel like I'm still the part of the community. It's amazing. So grateful. And actually, I wanted to say that I'm grateful for being here today, because, you know, after having a baby, it can be so overwhelming. Like it takes so much time. And I'm so grateful that I was invited to speak today and to see again all of you. I'm so grateful and excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Vibrations to you. Vibrations to you.
Thanks, Dina.
Now, as I know Tatsiana was giving this presentation, I came across this very interesting quote that speaks so much volume when it comes to speaking, and it's from Dale Carnegie. And he says that only the prepared speaker deserves to be confident. Yeah. Today I was in my head just thinking out loud, and I thought to myself, the secret to life is practice. Yeah, there's so many information around. We can go to all these training, we can go to all these different things, but the secret to life really is practice. Maybe 5 years ago, I wanted to become a better public speaker myself. And I can remember my first speech as if it was yesterday. And I bought this book, and it was a book from Dale Carnegie, and I was reading, and I thought it would have been easy. But what I realized, most great speakers prepare. They prepare, they prepare, they prepare, they practice, they practice, they practice. And on the day of my speech, my hands were shaking so much. I couldn't even hold the mic. I prepared so much, but my hands were still shaking. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Till I didn't even touch the mic. And when they asked me if I wanted the mic, I was so confident, like, no, I don't need the mic. Everyone can hear me. However, the great thing about that experience is that the more I showed up and practiced speaking, the less my hands shake. Yeah. So remember, all the prepared speaker deserve to be confident. Yeah. Without further ado, I'd like to hand the crown over to our beautiful Tatsiana, and she'll be sharing with you the 5 secrets to confident public speaking. Tatsiana, the floor is yours.
Wow, what a great introduction. Thank you, Dino. You always come up with the best quote ever. Last time you found one from Mark Twain. Yes, and this time from Dale Carnegie. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, and your story, sharing that experience about public speaking, it is really true. And I think it's for many, many people that because public speaking is #1 fear in the world. And so if you feel anxious about it, that's okay. That is really all right. So many people do. Yes. And the thing here is not to eliminate anxiety completely, but to understand what it is and to kind of find terms with it, be on the right terms with your anxiety and know how to manage it, how to accept it, and how to become friends with it. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So the topic of today's webinar is called 5 Secrets to Public Speaking. I want to tell you one thing. And if you remember just one thing from this webinar, let it be this, that it is all about our mind. It is all about our mind. So no matter what you do, you need to work on your mind in order to become a confident speaker. And some things you can do externally, like practice, the thing that Dino mentioned, right? You can practice and practice and practice. This is something you do every day or every month. You give a speech. And this external thing gives you the confidence. It kind of sends the signal into your mind. Okay, I've done this a couple of times. I've done this 100 times. Now I should be confident, right? I've done it so many times. So these are external things. And there are many other external things, like, for example, remember that your anxiety doesn't show. Yeah. So you just keep reminding to yourself that people don't see your anxiety. You just feel it and it's not visible to the audience. Yes. And these are all the things that help you externally and influence your mind and create some change inside your mind. But the thing is that we can work on our mind from the inside, not just from the outside to the inside, but from the inside. Exactly. And this is where NLP comes in. And this is where the most exciting and fun stuff begins. So this is what we're going to do here today together. We're going to try to dig inside our mind and see if we can see how we can grow, what changes we can create through this practice, with this practice together, and see how much stronger we can become by the end of this webinar. So I'm excited to see you all here, guys, and maybe you could share with me why you're here today and what about public speaking that maybe bothers you or you want to change, or what's the deal with public speaking and how can I help you? So you can share in the chat box, or you can just come up on camera, turn on your mic and share with me as well. Because we're talking about confidence, right? So I guess you're here to learn about how to be confident, and why do you want to know that? And maybe there is some story behind it. Please share with me. I would be so excited to know. Dino, how did you feel? So you said at that moment during your first speech, right? You felt nervous. Could you walk me through the steps? What happened when you came up on stage, or before you even come up on stage? If you remember.
Before I delivered my speech, I think I was in my head a lot, because I literally wrote my speech, so I was rehearsing, so it was more of a rote approach. Yeah, and I was trying to make that rote approach as natural as possible. So I was literally in my head. And when I did come out up on stage, I think I was so much in my head that I was thinking about, I'm going to mess up, or should I remember this part? And literally, because I was so much in my head, I literally messed up. Yeah, I messed up and I forgot what was the next line to come. But the beautiful thing about that is that after I stopped thinking about what's the next line and just feel it and go with the flow, all the shaking stopped. Yeah, so that was like an epiphany moment for me. And as a result of that, I start to be a bit more strategic with my speeches, where I find anchors throughout my entire speech. So an anchor could be a phrase, it could be a word, it could be something that I do with my body that reminds me that, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about now. This is the story that I should tell. But I think a lot of the work happens in the background, where I practice my stories, or I practice my key points. Yeah, because something we learned in our practitioner training with Adrian was the structure of story, which is so important. So once you know the structure, you don't really gotta think too much about memorizing things word for
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
You just put the message inside the structure and it becomes a bit easier. But there's always anxiety there. Even before the session, there's always anxiety. So I use music, so you hear the music and the meditation. That's all for me. I'm just sharing that with you.
Wow, thank you. You have many interesting ways to cope with it. I like it. Yes, and you know what happened is that, and I think maybe guys, you can relate with that. If you had experience of speaking in front of the audience, if you write the speech word for word, what is going to happen? You will be all in your mind, as Dino said, because you're so focused on saying it right, and you're so focused on thinking what's the word that's coming up next. So the best way to deal with this situation is to shift focus. So whenever you're on stage, think about your audience. Think about how you can be of value and of service for them. And think about what should I say next that's going to benefit them, right? And as soon as you shift focus on your audience, and this is, again, another mind game, right? It's like a mind game. If you shift the focus on your audience, you stop thinking about yourself. You stop thinking, oh, did I say this right? Am I smiling the right way? Yes. Am I moving the right way? You just stop thinking about yourself. And because you're focused on the audience, it becomes so easy to speak because you stop worrying about yourself. So this is like the flashlight that you take and you shine it upon your audience rather than you shine it upon yourself. Yes. So this is a small little trick that you need to remember and think about when you're on stage and presenting. Yes. Thank you, Dina. And I like that you mentioned that you're listening to music. It's a great way to connect something beautiful, something that you enjoy. Yes. And with something that maybe brings you a little bit of anxiety. So to reduce that anxiety, it's a great way. I like that. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share about your speaking experience? Did everyone here give a speech before? If you do, you raise your hand if you gave a speech before. Oh, yes, I see. So your guys' experience. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so let's start. Yes. And first of all, I would like to say that I will share some other tips closer to the end of this webinar. But I would like to start with the biggest chunks and the most important chunks, which is, as I've mentioned, working with your mind. And there are two ways we can work with our mind to boost our confidence when we're on stage. The first one is actually building the confidence mindset. This is number one. This is what we'll do today. We'll do today a little bit of that. And the second one is reframing your anxiety. This is also a huge chunk in public speaking. So you can go both ways, building your confidence and reframing your anxiety, right? So let us start with the confidence first. So when we talk about confidence mindset, there are so many things that you can do. And Dino already did one thing in the beginning as well. I feel like Dino already did so many cool things in just 10 minutes. So he said, what are we grateful for today? Yes, what are we grateful for? And the same thing you can do to boost your confidence. Yes, what are you proud of for yourself? What have you achieved so far? What are the things that you have recently done that make you proud, make you feel proud? Yes. Another thing that you can do when you're working on your confidence is you can actually create the list of things that you have achieved, right? So right now you've shared things with others and you achieved a lot of support from the community. So it's one fantastic thing. Join the Motivate community to get a lot of support. Another thing is actually you can get a long list of your achievements. Very often it happens that we tend to underestimate our achievements, yes, or we forget about them. It feels good in the moment, right? When we've just achieved something. Oh, I got A on that test, right? My test score is A. It feels good in the moment, but maybe in a couple of years you just forget about it or it becomes irrelevant. So make sure you keep the list of your achievements. Do not devalue them because they matter at that moment and they are the things that help you grow and they've shaped who you are today. So what I would suggest is to have a long list of your achievements, like a piece of paper, and stick it somewhere that where you can see it every day and you can remind yourself of how great and talented you are. And always, if there is another achievement, small or big, just add it to that list. You can also keep a jar and you can write on a piece of paper your achievement and put it in the jar. And by the end of the year, you can take them out of the jar and read all of your achievements through the year. This is a great exercise. This is a great thing to do. And the last thing about confidence I'd like to mention before we go to speech anxiety is that, guys, I want you to truly believe in one thing, that we all come to this world with some kind of talent. Absolutely each one of you has a special talent that only you have. And the world needs that talent. And this is something that can, if you realize that, this is something that can boost your confidence and remind you that you're very special, you're very unique, and you're here on this earth for some reason, for some purpose. And when you give a speech, remember that, because I'm pretty sure that all the speeches that you craft, all the speeches that you make, they somehow are penetrated by this purpose, by your talent that you would like to share with the world. This way or the other, no matter what topic you're speaking about, you will be sharing a piece of yourself, you will be sharing a piece of your talent. So remember that, and this should boost your confidence and bring you more confidence. So work in your confidence mindset. There are so many other tools that we don't have time to cover today, but remember that working on your confidence mindset is extremely important. So now I'd like to jump into speech anxiety. Yes, so on the one side, we can work on becoming more confident. On the other side, we can work on managing our anxiety. So as Dina mentioned in the beginning, you come up on stage and you feel nervous, right? You got that shaking. And I really liked what Adrian said in the video that was coming up for this event, is that what is anxiety? So let us all brainstorm together. Let us stop and think for a moment. What is anxiety? How does it feel when you experience speech anxiety? And please type in the chat box. What do you experience? What sensations do you have in the body when you think you experience speech anxiety? How do you feel in your body? What is there? What's going on in there? Excitement. I like it, Darko. Okay. And could you describe like the specific feeling? For example, I have those like my stomach is moving or something, like that feeling in my stomach. Yeah. Some people call it butterflies inside. What sensation do you have when you're on stage in your body specifically? Dina says anxiety is a human version of notification. I'd like you to explain that, Dina. I've never heard that before. What does it mean?
Well, like when your phone gives you a notification that something is happening in the system. So when you feel anxiety, it's just your body not giving you a notification as well.
Oh, I like that. That's a cute way to to say it. I love it. You feel tightness in your chest. That's interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Stephen, you're overthinking. Okay. This something was going on in your brain. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Some people may feel that their legs are shaking. Yeah. Or maybe hands are shaking. Some people may feel like legs are going numb, or you feel like you're going to fall down. Different body sensations, right? So now my question to you would be, when you feel those feelings, yes, how do you know that this is anxiety? So whatever it is for you, for Dino, it's tightness in the chest. For Stephen, it's overthinking. How do you know that this is anxiety? And do you really know? Karina?
Sorry, discomfort. When you're not comfortable.
Oh, you're not comfortable. Okay, I see. And
when it hurts.
It hurts. Where do you feel it in your body, Karina?
Definitely in the stomach.
In the stomach. Okay.
And
okay. I see.
My own mind.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's interesting. I'm sure a certain Golden Sea says, yes, I'm sure a certain. Okay. Now I have another question for you. Do you remember the first time when you fell in love? I hope you do. I hope you do. So the first time, that beautiful magic feeling of falling in love, did you have that tight feeling in your chest? Did you have something in your stomach? Did you have some kind of a feeling in your body when you went on the first date and maybe your legs were shaking or your body was shaking? How do you know at that time that that was not anxiety? A lot of things were shaking too. Yes. All right, guys. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this sensation you had, as I think I'm absolutely sure, I'm almost sure you had a very similar sensation in your body as you had when you went up on stage and giving a speech. I'm pretty sure it was very similar feeling in your body, but the way you named it was different. When you come up on stage, you say, okay, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, I'm anxious. When you come up on your first date, yes, maybe you're anxious, but in a beautiful and romantic way. Yes. And this is something beautiful and nice, or maybe you're excited. So this is all about how your mind labels those sensations. Yes, you can either label it, oh, this is anxiety and this is something bad, or you can label it, this is excitement, as Darko said, this is something good, this is something beautiful, right? And actually, we do need stress, we do need anxiety, because it brings the level of excitement in your body. Yes, it brings the level high, and this is something you need to perform well. If you do not have anxiety at all, the so-called anxiety at all, then when you come up on stage, you won't perform that well. You won't be excited, you won't be pumped up. So you do need that. So you actually have it because you need it. And now we're going back to one of the most important statements that we talk about in neurolinguistic programming, in NLP, that can help you with anxiety and can help you build confidence, is that every behavior that we do has a positive intention. No matter what happens, no matter what behavior you perform, it has a positive intention. There is something positive about it. Yeah. So now let us go back. Let us go back to that. You guys raised your hand and you told me that some of you performed on the stage, gave a speech in front of the audience. So now I want to ask you, when you came up on stage, yes, how did you feel? So maybe you would say, I felt anxious. Yes, I felt anxiety. And my next question would be, after you felt anxiety, what did you do next? Could you please share with me? So let's divide it into very, very small little steps that our mind took. So you are on stage. Maybe someone of you could guide me, or you can type in the chat box. So you're on stage, you come up on stage and you feel anxious or not confident enough. And what happens next? What do you do next? Share with me in the chat box, please. What is your next step, your next behavior? I'm so interested to find out. So many people react in a different way. Darker, stop talking. That's a good thing. Amelia, you breathe. You take a deep breath. Yes. Okay. That's nice. Very good. Move on and no pause. Interesting. So just dive into that. Very interesting. Okay. Saying it out loud helps you to release the anxiety. I like it. You guys are so good. You have a very good approach to that. Yes, just continue, just carry on, just do it. Love it. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Talk fast, Karina. But that's good. Sometimes it's good. It shows your energy. Yes, it shows your excitement. All right, guys. So what we're going to do now is the anxiety, when you come up on stage, and the anxiety that generates in you is the type of the behavior that you do. Yes, it's a small step that happens in this long process. So I don't know, guys, if you ever listened to Barack Obama's president's speech that made him a president. His very, very famous speech, yes, the speech that made him president. And a lot of people say, oh, Obama's success was an overnight success. Yeah, he just popped up, he just delivered that cool speech and boom, he's a president, right? But nobody knows how hard he was preparing for that speech. He was preparing for at least half a year. He was writing the script, he was writing the speech, he was practicing the speech so many times. And the person who was helping him to prepare for that speech actually said that in the beginning, Barack Obama wasn't really very good. And his mentor was actually desperate. He said, oh no, we're not going to become president with this speech. But they practiced and practiced and practiced. And you see, practice makes perfect. And definitely it does give you more confidence and boosts your confidence a lot if you practice, right? So here we are. We talked about confidence mindset, yes, and then we also talked about reframing anxiety. So now I'd just like to do one last thing with you guys before we dive into questions, because I think the most important part is actually when you're sharing with me your specific cases, your specific experience, where I can give you a more detailed advice, right? So just the last thing that I'd like to do with all of you as a group, yes, let's just put new labels on anxiety. Yes, let's reframe it. Let's relabel it together. So suppose you come up on stage and you say, oh, I'm nervous. What can you say instead of that? What can you say instead of saying I'm nervous? Let me know, maybe in the chat box, or just shout it out.
All right, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Yay, that's it. That's excitement coming in. Right. Okay. If you come up on stage and say, oh, this is not going to go well, I'm just going to mess it up. How can you reframe that?
Energy, energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. Let's get it. Let's go.
I see William says, I'm always ready. Yes, I like it. I'm always ready. This is a good one. I'm always ready. No matter what. Of course you're ready. Yes, of course you are ready. And no matter what comes your way, you can improvise. You can go off script because you are always ready, because you believe in yourself. That's great. Are we ready to have fun together? I like that. Thank you, Golden Seed. Yes. Are we ready to have fun together? Okay. And another one, imagine you're coming up on stage and you think, okay, my speech is boring. How can you reframe that? No failure, only feedback. Thank you, Astrolita. Right. No failure, only feedback. And if those thoughts about hesitation creeping in and you think, oh, my speech is boring. No, never, ever. No one's speech is ever boring. Why? Because we are all unique. And no matter what you share, there will be at least one single thing for at least one person in the room that is going to be an enlightenment for them, and they will benefit from it. And if your speech can touch at least one person, trust me, it's already good enough. It's already good enough. So remember, no matter what you're saying and no matter what is your attitude about your speech, it is always good and not boring for at least one person in the room. Yes. And I'm pretty sure it is never boring because you've put so much effort and so much, all of your heart into your speech. Absolutely, it is not boring. And if you find a speaking coach, it will be a super cool speech as well. Okay. Thank you for sharing. And Steven says, even though it benefits to me, I like that. That's a good reframe. I like it. Even though it's boring to others, but this is a feedback for me and an experience for me. That's a fantastic one. Thank you, Stephen. Yes. So there's always a way to reframe those negative thoughts. Yes. And going back to the confidence mindset, one of the things that can help you to build confidence mindset is to actually stop negative thinking. Right? Do you guys ever do that? So if there is this negative thought in your mind, learn and practice to notice it and cut it out immediately. Yes. or to reframe it. Okay, so this is so much that I wanted to share with you today, and I would like you guys to share with me your experience of speaking on stage, and maybe something that you're curious about, maybe something went wrong, how you can improve that, how you can change it. I'll be happy to give you some suggestion and advice. Yeah, I'm curious about other choices that you've also come up with. Seeing people naked, okay. Anything else? Maybe anything else as well. Yeah.
Something great that works for me is being authentic and acknowledging what you're feeling with the audience, knowing that they also feel the same when they're there. So you build that rapport. So if right now I'm here speaking with you, I'll tell you guys that like right now I'm really nervous. And every time I do things like this, I'm always feeling nervous. Yeah, it's like I'm acknowledging it, and eventually shining light on that feeling. Yeah, it just goes away eventually. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, the thing is that our audience never wants us to fail. So imagine you're the audience, or you're listening to a speaker. Do you want to listen to a speaker who's failing? Of course not. So usually the audience is very supportive. So if you are failing, as Dino said, or maybe you forgot the line, or you forgot what to say next, just admit it. Yes, just go with it. Just say, oh, I think there was something excellent to say, but but my mind is reloading. Yes, or something like that. Just make a joke out of it, right? So accept it, and people will feel so much connected to you because you accept it. You're not just like a show off that knows everything and just a perfect person, perfect speaker. It will actually be a great chance for you to connect with people. Another thing that I like to always tell people when I coach them is that when you are on stage, yes, and you think that you're nervous, and you think people see that, people do not see that. The thing is that when we're nervous, we think people see that, and then we start being nervous about being nervous. So this is called meta-nervousness, right? So, and then it goes like a spiral, bigger and bigger, larger and larger, and just boosts your nervousness. But as soon as you realize that your nervousness doesn't show, and here's this mind game one more time, it does not show, right? So it means that people do not see your nervousness. They see it as confident, actually. As soon as you realize that, your level of nervousness goes down. You start looking, in reality, even more confident. And people see you even in a more confident way, which makes you understand that. And then your nervousness goes down even more, right? So understanding that your nervousness doesn't show is a very important thing. It can just strip you of all that worries that you have in your mind, just set you free, relax, and just go. Yes, and shift focus on your audience. Remember, you're there to serve them. Yeah, Dino.
I have a quick question. I'm really curious. As you know, in NLP, it's big on structure. The structure of story, the structure of how we do particular strategies, and even when it comes to speaking, I'm sure there's structures that help us, deliver a wow speech. What would you say would be some of the most effective structures new speakers can start using to sound like really professional?
That's a good question. Thank you so much. So it depends if you prepare a speech or if you speak impromptu, right? So if you prepare a speech in advance, the first thing I would suggest, never ever write the speech word for word. Why? Because we learned from Dino's experience, you will be in your mind and you will worry, oh, what's the next sentence? Oh no, I don't remember the next sentence. And while you're saying one sentence, you're already thinking of the next one, which doesn't give you an opportunity to be authentic, right? So you just want to have an outline of the keywords or of the ideas that you are going to say, and then practice at home based on your outline. And every time you practice, it will be a little bit different, but it will be so authentic. It will be real. It will be interesting. And you will find out that every time you practice, you say some things new in an interesting way, and you'll come up with some interesting ways to say something that you will borrow and you will use in your actual presentation. So if you have your prepared speech, it is important to start with a hook. In public speaking, we call it a hook or attention grabber, something that can grab the attention of your listeners, right? Something that can show them that, hey, I think this speaker is cool. I want to listen to that speech. Yes, it's kind of also like an icebreaker, warming up thing. So how to hook the audience? You can ask a question. Yes, you can say, hey, how many of you here in the audience would like to travel to the moon? Raise your hands, right? And now people are so curious. Oh, wow. Are we really going to talk about this? Yes. Even if your speech is very serious, you can find ways to ask fun and interesting questions. Yes, to intrigue your audience. So the main thing behind a good hook is mystery. You want to make it mysterious so that they are curious. It's curiosity that matters, right? So how many people here want to travel to the moon? And now, okay, I came here to listen about public speaking, and now you ask me about traveling to the moon. Where is it going, right? So you hook them, you hook their attention. So you can ask a question. You can also ask people to imagine something. Imagining something is a great attention grabber. Why? Because as soon as somebody tells you imagine, what happens? You go in your mind and you follow the words of the speaker, right? So you immediately connect with the speaker and his or her words, because now you're imagining and you're being led by the speaker, you're following the speaker. So you can say, imagine you're on the moon. Right? And then the rest is history. So you can do that. So it's important to start with a hook. So Dino was asking about the structure. Then you talk, then the body part, the main message that you're trying to say, and always finish with a wrap up, with a good wrap up and with a call to action. Remember, guys, that for a speech, there's always a purpose. Always ask yourself, why do you give the speech in the first place? Yeah, because if the speech doesn't have a purpose, then it will be very difficult for you to stay on topic, to be focused. So it is important to have the focus, and in the end of the speech, based on your purpose, you have a call to action. So suppose your purpose is to introduce the new something new that you've created in your company. Yes, so some new product, you want to introduce that and you want people to buy it, right? So the call to action would be, and now guys, it's time for you to actually click on that buy button and purchase our first product, right? So you want to tell people what you want them to do in the very end. That's important. Always finish with a call to action. So this is for the prepared speech, and you can also use that for impromptu. If suddenly you need to speak impromptu, and impromptu means speaking without preparation, you can use the PREP structure, P-R-E-P, which means point, reason, example, and point. So you start by asking the question that someone asked you. It's your point. Then you give R, the reason why you think so. And then you give E, an example. It is important to give examples in every speech. Examples and stories are so crucial. And finally, you wrap up with another P, which is basically you restate your main point. So it's called PREP, P-R-E-P, and it means point, reason, example, and point again. So this is the structure you can use, and there are so many others. If you go online and check how to speak impromptu, there will be many other ways that you can structure your speech. Thank you so much, Dino, for your question. Yes, easy to remember. And you know, guys, as I think, Dino, last time when we had a webinar together, you had this quote from Mark Twain that says, "It takes me 3 weeks to prepare good impromptu speech." Do you remember that one? And you know, guys, it is not because you really need to prepare for impromptu speech. There's no way you can prepare for impromptu speech, right? Suddenly someone asks you a question and just takes you off guard and you need to speak. But what Mark Twain means by that is that practice at home, read books, have a lot of input inside of you, read books, watch documentaries, learn, and all this knowledge will come in so handy when you need to give an impromptu speech. It will help you to generate some examples. Yes, maybe you've read a book and you can use that book as an example to prove your point. So we're always preparing for a good speech. We're always in this preparation mode. So make sure you invest in yourself, and then you will be a great speaker. Yeah, so when you're on stage and when you suddenly forget something, just go with the flow, admit it, or, you know, just say anything else that you remember, actually, or have some conversation with the audience. Yeah, you can ask them, what do you think about what I've said so far? Any ideas, right? So win yourself some time. Yes, it will be very helpful for you. The thing, we can work on our confidence from the inside that we did today, yes, so like confidence mindset, but we can also work it from the outside. So you can use confident body language, even if you feel not confident on the inside. Just by presenting with confident body language will send the signal to your brain that, hey, I think I'm confident, and it will go like in circles. Then the brain will send signal to your body language, and so on and so on. So start with confident body language. Start from the outside. It's also a good idea. Your confident body language is the body language that is open. So don't close yourself, but be open. Yes, this is the most important rule in public speaking. And for your voice, speak loudly. Speakers who speak loud seem very confident, right? Keep good eye contact, maintain good eye contact. All these things will help you to look confident on stage. But of course, it is also important to work on your mind, yes, and to boost your confidence mindset, to make it stronger, and to generate those choices that we just did today in the session. Yes.
Can I also add to that, if I may, Tatsiana, and say that it's important to remember that 80% is your body language that makes the impact. It's only 20% the words. Really important. And when you say make eye contact with the audience, generally look at the audience in the back, and then the people in the front think you're looking at them anyway, which sometimes helps.
Yes, William, you're so experienced. Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So if you have a huge audience, you can just look at the tips of their heads. Yes, make sure you're looking everywhere. And if this is like a small meeting room where it's more like private, casual, then make sure you maintain eye contact with everyone in the room. Yeah, that's important. Keeping eye contact, I would suggest like 98% of the time. If you look down, the thing is that people will look where you look. If you look down, they will also look down. Yeah, if you look back, for example, if you have slides behind you, and a lot of speakers would look at their slides when they speak, yes, this is not a good idea, because if you look at the slides, people will also look at the slides, and you immediately lose that precious connection with your audience. So if you want to show something on the slide, you can point with you can take a quick look, you can point with your hand, but you always regain that eye contact with your audience. That's important. So make sure that you look where you want them to look. If you want them to look on the slide, you also look on the slide. But if you want them to look at you, then you look at them as well. Yeah. There are so many things to public speaking, and it definitely, absolutely all comes with practice. And I would say speak, that's important. So there are many Toastmasters clubs. This is a great venue for you to practice your speaking. Maybe this is not the best place for getting professional feedback, but it's definitely a very good place to practice. And you need to practice, you need to go out, because each one of us has a very special and unique style of public speaking. It's not that there is only one way to do that, no, but you need to find your style by practicing, by doing this. Yeah.
I have a very, very interesting question that I was pondering, and we've been saying practicing a lot. Yeah. What I'm curious about now at this point, what are some of the best ways to practice? Yeah, like what are some of the best go-to ways to practice? Say, for example, I block time on my calendar to practice speaking. Like, how do I practice? How would
That's
you
a very good
suggest?
question. Yeah. So I would tell you guys the best way to practice. What is the best way to practice? Well, first of all, you remember you have the keyword outline. You don't write the full speech, right? And so when you practice, allocate at least 2 weeks to practice every day for 2 times for 2 weeks. This is the best. This is the best. And when you practice, I would suggest for you to take your speech and to divide it into parts. Yes, and to start practice in random order. So never practice always in the linear order. So from the beginning to the end. Why? Because you may get distracted in the middle of the process. And what's you're going to come up with is that you will be so familiar with the beginning of your speech, but you won't be very familiar with the end of your speech. And this can be a disaster when you present, right? And now I need to wrap up and I have no clue what I need to say. Right? Well, definitely then you can improvise. That's all right. But if there was some important message you wanted to say, you just missed it, right? So make sure you practice in the random order. And I would suggest to start practicing from the end, the middle, then beginning, sometimes from the middle, then end and beginning. Practicing in random order is important. Another important thing I want to tell you guys, never ever practice in your mind. This is a trick. Sometimes we think, okay, I will just go through my speech in my mind. Never works. Why? You need that muscle memory. When we speak, this is also the muscle memory and the way our voice sounds, right? So always practice the way you're going to speak in real life. If you're going to speak with the slides, practice with the slides. If you're going to show something or tell a story, practice with all those things and say it out loud, but never practice in your mind. Well, of course you can. If you're on the subway, you can just remind yourself of the outline as you're on your way to work, yes? But the real practice happens when you actually say the speech out loud. That's important. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dino. So many good questions.
And
Yeah,
one final one, because now as a result
go ahead, you're on fire. Yes.
As a result of the last 3 years, a lot of us have been online and we have been pushed out of our comfort zone in speeches on Zoom. And what I've learned, is making that shift to online is like, even though you've done it for a long time, it's a new arena, it's a new field, it's a new space as a speaker. So what would some suggestion you give to speakers who maybe they're familiar with the offline arena of speaking, but what are some tips to think about and keep in mind when you're speaking to an audience online here? Like, we know we got to make eye contact, but it might be a bit challenging to make eye contact here on Zoom. Maybe we need to do things like, what are some of the tips or some of the pro tips, I should ask, that we can implement to an audience?
Thank you so much, Dino. Another fantastic question. So I would say when you are giving a speech, it is all about clarity. How clear people can hear you, how clear people can see you, right? And when we are offline, it is most of the time people can see you clearly, and maybe 90% of the time people can hear you clearly. If you speak loudly, they can hear you absolutely well. Yes. What happens online, though, is that because of the wrong lighting, or because of a bad microphone, or because of a bad camera, people don't hear you well, people don't see you well. So you want to avoid that. So let me guys show you this. So right now I'm using the light, yes? So let me turn off the light and see how clearly you can see me. Yeah? So I'm turning off the light. So I have the light that is lighting up my face. Why do you want people to see your face? Because, as William mentioned, 80% is body language, and your facial expressions are also body language. And the clearer people can see your face, can see your picture on the screen, the more information they can get from your speech. Yes, not just listening to the words, but also receiving information from your body language as a speaker. So you want to make sure they see you very clearly. That's one. And you want to make sure they hear you very clearly. So have a good mic, or, if you don't have like a professional mic, there are these small mics that you can put on your collar. Yes, like these small little tiny mics that are on a clip. Yes, and this will help you a lot. Even not the very professional mics, if you put them closer to your here, because they're closer to your mouth, your sound will be so much clearer and better. Yes, so this is the first tip I would give. And the second one, I would say always look at the camera. Although it's difficult to keep eye contact, but you wanted to create the illusion at least of this eye contact, right? So what happens with the Zoom, if you guys take a look at your Zoom right now, I don't know if you're guys on computer or on the phone, but if you're on a computer, you will see that some people are at the bottom, yes, some people at the top, and you want others to have the feeling that you're looking at them. So the idea here is whenever you're speaking, you want to put the person who you're talking to, you want to put that person, you want to move their frame, yes, their video frame, their picture frame, to the top of the Zoom application, right? Or whatever you're using. So you want to make sure that people you're communicating with are at the very top, very close to the camera, so that it gives them, so when you're looking at them, it gives them the impression that you're looking at them, because you're almost looking at the camera, right? Otherwise, if they're at the bottom, you will be looking at the bottom to talk to them, and it will give the impression that you're looking somewhere far away, but not at them. So these are technical things, right? These are technical things, but all other things are very similar. So make sure you're using hand gestures, you're using your body language, you're engaging. In offline situation, you would just ask questions, right? To your audience, they will reply. In online, ask them to type in the chat box their answers. Always make sure you're engaging. That's important.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.